Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Elias. I'm the special agent in charge here at the Raleigh Training Center. We hope you enjoyed your tours this morning. I understand one of the buses got hijacked out here by a counter-assault team on the way. We want to welcome you today, the graduations of Special Agent Training Class 182 and 181. Before we start our ceremony, I'd like to ask you to rise for the singing of our national anthem by Miss Rosetta Robinson. Please face the flag on my right.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Just a word about the young lady who just finished singing. She's actually a training technician here at the Office of Training. And to show you what a full-service academy we are, she couldn't carry a tune before we assigned her to training. We put her in our fine arts department, which we sandwich in between bomb detection and control tactics, and that's the result. So we do it all here at the Raleigh Training Center. We're joined this morning by several platform guests, as you can see, and I'd like to introduce them to you now. Please hold your applause until the last guest is introduced. Beginning at my far right, we have Barbara Riggs, who's the Assistant Director of the Office of Protective Research.
Good morning.
Next, we have Assistant Director Danny Spriggs from the Office of Protective Operations.
Good morning.
Assistant Director Terry Samway from our Office of Government Liaison and Public Affairs.
Good morning.
Assistant Director Larry Cockle from the Office of Training.
Good morning.
The Director of the Secret Service, Brian Stafford.
Good morning.
Today's guest speaker from the Western District of North Carolina, United States Attorney Mark Calloway. Welcome to Raleigh. The Deputy Director of the Secret Service, Kevin Foley.
Good morning.
The Assistant Director from the Office of Administration, Dana Brown. The Assistant Director from our Office of Inspection, Gordon Hiddell.
Good morning.
Deputy Assistant Director Mike Stanger from the Office of Investigations. And Chief Michael Prendergrass from the Uniform Division of the Secret Service. Now, if I can guide your attention back to my right, 4 individuals who've guided these trainees through the last 11 weeks of training. From Special Agent Training Class number 181, the Course Director, Special Agent John Horton. Assistant Course Director, Special Agent Miguel Rivera. And from Class number 182, Course Director Larry Sykes. And Assistant Course Director Kelly Ward.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women seated before you today have completed 21 weeks of the most intensive training provided by any law enforcement agency in the world. Their presence before you today is evidence that they possess the character, the comportment, and the skills to perform as successful Secret Service agents. Classes 181 and 182, we respect your accomplishments here at the Raleigh Training Center, and as we prepare to send you out to your respective assignments, we are confident that our training staff has provided you with the tools necessary to become Secret Service agents in the fullest sense of the term. Although this is the end of your formal training, in many ways it actually marks the beginning. As in most professions, you learn best by actual experience. Integrate what you have learned here with the many things that you will learn in the field from your coworkers. You will find other agents to be your primary source of continued training, but be receptive also to the many things you can learn from the uniformed division, administrative personnel, and technical employees. Extract what each person does well, incorporate it into the situations you will encounter daily. Keep in mind always that this position represents a vocation in the original sense of the term, a sacred calling, if you will, to safeguard the institution of the presidency itself and the integrity of our nation's financial systems, both indispensable components to our way of life. It is the uniqueness of this calling that must compensate for the long hours, the missed holidays, the transfers, the incessant challenges, and the pressures to come. It is this adversity that will enable you to personally become more than you thought possible, unable to recognize yourselves as you sit here today. On behalf of the Office of Training, congratulations. We who are your trainers now become your fellow agents. I'd now like to take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker today, Mr. Mark Calloway, who is the United States Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina. Mark Calloway was sworn in as the United States Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina on February 25th, 1994. He is 41 years of age. Prior to becoming United States Attorney, Mark was a partner shareholder in the law firm of James, McElroy & Deal in Charlotte, North Carolina. He joined that firm in May 1987 as an associate and practiced in the areas of federal white-collar criminal defense, employment law, and general civil litigation. One case of significant interest in which Mark was involved is the United States versus James Baker and Richard Dortch, as you know popularly as the PTL scandal. Mark in this case served as co-counsel to Richard Dortch in the criminal case and as a counsel to Reverend Dortch in various civil matters. Prior to his association with James McElroy & Deal, he served as research assistant to the Honorable Jack Cozart at the North Carolina Court of Appeals and as law clerk to the Honorable Robert D. Potter, then Chief United States District Judge for the Western District of North Carolina. Mark received his undergraduate degree in political science from North Carolina State University in 1980. While there, he served as Student Attorney General and North Carolina Fellow. He entered Campbell University School of Law in 1980, where he was a member of the Law Review and the Trial Advocacy Team. He received his Juris Doctorate in 1983. In June 1996, Governor James B. Hunt, Jr. appointed Attorney Calloway to his Task Force on Racial or Religious Violence and Intimidation. That task force dealt with the various issues facing North Carolina in the wake of local church burnings. Last year, Mark served as the chair of the Criminal Justice Section Council of the North Carolina Bar Association and is an advisor to the Ethics Committee of the North Carolina State Bar. He also serves as co-chair of the White Collar Crime Subcommittee of the Attorney General's Advisory Committee and serves on the Attorney General's White Collar Crime Council in Washington. In December of 1997, the Attorney General appointed Mark to the Attorney General's Advisory Committee for a 2-year term beginning in January of 1998. Recently, the Attorney General has asked Mark to serve as the chair of her Attorney General's Advisory Committee. He is also a regular lecturer at the Justice Department National Advocacy Center Management Seminars. Mark lives in Charlotte with his wife, Kim, a pharmacist, and their daughter, Rachel. Please join me in welcoming U.S. Attorney Mark Calloway.
Thank you very much. You make me sound better than I deserve. Good morning. This day's been a long time coming for you, I know. First, let me congratulate you. In a few moments, you'll be sworn in as a United States Secret Service Special Agent. Your 21 weeks of training have been long and rigorous, but I believe you'll find it well worth it. It's an honor to speak to you this morning, and I really mean that. It is. I promise to keep my speech reasonably short, at least within the time allotted. If you promise that you won't hold it against me that I'm a lawyer. And remember this, I'm on your side as a prosecutor. I believe you will have found your training and subsequent service as an agent rewarding, if not in financial terms, because I believe those in law enforcement aren't paid enough, but at least in terms of job satisfaction, the friends that you'll make through your career, and in terms of service to your country and its citizens. I want to spend a few minutes with you sharing a collection of thoughts about the responsibilities that we in law enforcement have to the public, to our law enforcement family, and to ourselves. And you may call some of this speech old-fashioned, but I am sort of an old-fashioned guy, and it contains some stuff that I really believe in. Before I do that, I want to tell you about my initial contact with the Secret Service and the lasting impressions that it made on me. It came over 15 years ago when I served as a law clerk to a federal judge who had been nicknamed Maximum Bob by the inmates he sentenced. And you can figure out why he got the nickname Maximum Bob. What started as a routine counterfeiting case back then turned into something much more thanks to the hard work and dedication of the Secret Service agents who investigated it. The defendant's name was James Mitchell DeBartoleben, whom the Secret Service had nicknamed the Mall Passer because he liked to pass counterfeit $20 bills at shopping malls, and he passed them like clockwork, repeating visits to the malls on exactly the same date year after year. In fact, that's how he was eventually caught. They simply went to a mall, waited for him to show up on that date because they knew he'd been there the year before, and they got him. But investigating the case, the agents found something far more sinister than counterfeiting when they arrested him. Through a search of his car trunk and subsequent searches of his storage areas, they uncovered license plates showing that he had visited 45 states, and they had tape recordings of his criminal plans in his own words, and an audio tape of him carrying out a sexual assault and torture of a woman that he had kidnapped. This was truly an evil man. What the Secret Service discovered through hard work was that DeBartoleben was no ordinary counterfeiter. Aside from being very skilled and printing high-quality counterfeit notes the old-fashioned way with a printing press, he also used the money he had made counterfeiting to finance his criminal activities throughout the United States, to commit murders and other violent crimes against women. After his conviction on 4 counts of counterfeiting, Judge Potter held a hearing to see if he was a special dangerous offender. The United States Attorney's Office and the Secret Service presented evidence of his violent crimes and his travels throughout the country. As a result of that evidence, Judge Potter was able to give him a special enhanced sentence of 100 years, 25 years for each count of conviction. Now, I tell you this story not just because it has interesting facts, but because I want you to appreciate the fine work and dedication of the Secret Service agents that have gone before you, and to let you know that the first impression you make on the U.S. Attorney's Office and on the courts will be a lasting one. You are about to join an elite group of individuals who not only protect our nation's leaders, but also protect the public and our nation's financial institutions by bringing criminals to justice. Let's talk a minute about what it means to be a United States Secret Service agent. The title Special Agent no doubt carries with it status, prestige, and what some people would call power. While I urge each of you to take pride in the fact that you are a United States Secret Service Special Agent, I challenge you not to look at your position in terms of status, prestige, and power. Rather, look at it as one of responsibility, duty, of service to your country, and one worthy of the services and the public's trust and confidence. In law enforcement, we have an obligation to carry out our responsibilities and duties in an honest and even-handed manner, free of bias and prejudice. In your law enforcement capacity, you have an obligation to keep the public safe and an obligation to those in your custody and authority to keep them safe as well, to treat them in a fair, honest, and even-handed manner, regardless of how they may treat you. And this at times will be difficult, for you're only human. But I am confident that you're up to the task, for I have seen it in Secret Service agents that have gone before you. On the investigation side, I marvel at how agents have been able to handle unruly witnesses and defendants in a respectful, fair, and even-handed manner. Likewise, on the protection side, I've been impressed with how agents using good personal relation skills and humor have been able to calm unruly folks in a crowd lined up to see the president pass by. I want you to also think about this, about your career now and how it may end later on down the road. I'll tell you a little story. My father is 72 years old. He's a very honest and decent man. And when I was growing up, on Saturdays, a couple times a year, he would borrow a truck from a guy named Johnny Johnson. And we'd go uptown and we'd get fertilizer and other stuff because my father likes to garden. And we'd go to a certain restaurant and always have a hot dog or a sandwich, which was a lot of fun for me when you know you're about this high. And after he'd be through using the truck, my father would bring it back to our house. He would wash it, and he would go fill it full of gas. Now understand that when we got the truck, it was only maybe a quarter of a tank of gas in it, and it wasn't necessarily clean, and we didn't really dirty it up. But my father was teaching me a lesson there. And the lesson he was teaching me was that when you borrow something, always return it in better condition than you got it. And so I challenge you in your career to leave the Secret Service in better condition than you found it. It's loaning you its good name. It's a fine name, but you can make it better. So I challenge you to do that. And in doing that, consider this, that the law enforcement and prosecutor positions that we hold are not positions of privilege, but are ones of service. We're in the service business both to the public at large and to those in our care and custody and over whom we make decisions. If we adopt the attitude that we, like private enterprise, are in the service business, then I believe we can do a better job than we're already doing now. When you engage in protection, you're protecting not only a human being, but an entire branch of government. For an attack on the president is not only an attack on an individual, but it's an attack on the executive branch, and it's an attack on our constitutional system of government as well. I applaud you for your willingness to undertake such an awesome responsibility as protecting the president, and for your willingness to lay your life in harm's way if that becomes necessary. I submit to you, too, that you are one of Secret Service's day-to-day ambassadors. You're ambassadors with the public, other law enforcement agencies, the U.S. Attorney's offices, and the courts. In fact, you may be the only contact that a member of the public ever has with a Secret Service agent. And the impression that person forms of the service will be as a result of how you act and interact with them. In reality, you and I are the faces of law enforcement. When people look to and talk about law enforcement, they're not talking about some cold, intangible object. Rather, they're talking about us. How the public views law enforcement depends on how we interact with them and how we serve them and how we carry out our responsibilities and duties. And this includes how we conduct ourselves both on and off the job, and how you conduct yourself even after you retire from the service. You do not quit being a Secret Service agent when your duty shift is over or when you go home, just as I do not stop being U.S. Attorney when I go home at night. Of course, I don't even pretend to be in charge when I get home, but that's another story. In the public's eyes, and hopefully your eyes as well, you're on duty 24 hours a day. You have an obligation to conduct yourself both on and off the job in a manner that brings honor to the service and to your fellow agents. For how you conduct yourself in public, whether it's at a restaurant or a sporting event, reflects not only on you personally, but on your chosen profession as well. You cannot lose your temper or be rude to someone in public. Rather, you must act professionally at all times, because how you conduct yourself, both on and off the job again, is how you're viewed as an agent and how the Secret Service is viewed as well. In trying to live up to this obligation that I'm telling you about, I strive to live by a simple rule, which I'll share with you now in hopes that it will be of assistance to you. Now listen closely. I don't want you to miss these 11 little words of advice. Never ever do or say anything that would embarrass your mother. Seriously, it's a simple rule, but it works. I always remind assistant U.S. attorneys that mistakes roll uphill. And if they make a mistake or an error in judgment, it's just as if I've done so. For I have to answer for the actions of my office. Same holds true for you and Director Stafford. If you make a mistake or an error in judgment, it's just as if he has done so as well. It is his responsibility to answer for the Secret Service, and he has to take responsibility for the mistakes that anyone makes under his watch and command. I tell you these things so you'll understand that the decisions you make and the actions you take affect not only you, but those you protect, those you investigate, and the public's perception of the service, and the rest of law enforcement as well. I'd also remind you that from time to time in your career, you'll make a mistake or an error in judgment. That's all part of growing up, gaining experience as an agent, and it's part of being human too. When you make a mistake, though, learn to vow from it and not to repeat it. Ask yourself, did I do my best? What could I have done differently? And what do I need to correct my error and make it right? Start by taking responsibility for your own actions and righting your wrong. If an apology is needed, by all means give one. Lesser men and women don't apologize at all or merely do so in private. It takes a real person of character and courage to apologize publicly and to take responsibility for their own actions. And I caution you that we in law enforcement are not above the law, for the law is the same for everyone. Yet we are held, as we should be, to a higher standard. We have no business enforcing the laws if we are unwilling to follow the laws and the Constitution ourselves. The public deserves no less from us. From time to time, you and Director Stafford may face public criticism for an action you've taken or for a decision the director has made. Remember this: you are not being sworn in as a special agent to do the popular thing. The director was not hired to do the popular thing, and I was not appointed U.S. Attorney to do the popular thing. Rather, we were put here to do the right thing, to do justice, to serve those we protect, no matter how hard or unpopular it may be at the time. Always strive to do the right thing, and you will serve the public, the Secret Service, and law enforcement well. With that, I leave you with these observations from an unknown author. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. To that, I would add that your actions and habits become your reputation and the reputation of the Secret Service and law enforcement. Let's work together to make sure that that reputation continues to be an excellent one. Congratulations on earning the right to be called a United States Secret Service Special Agent. May God bless you and keep you and your family safe and out of harm's way as you carry out this new responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That was so well done, we almost want to forgive the fact that he was flown up here in an FBI airplane.
This is the highlight of my day.
Yeah. Actually, there's a big case going on, and the FBI graciously agreed to bring him up here for us, to get him up here. So I guess we begrudgingly have to thank them. Now, during the 11 weeks of training here at the Raleigh Training Center, we concentrate on 3 areas of instruction, and we present an award to the trainee with the highest score in each of these respective areas. These include academic achievement, physical fitness, and firearms training. I would now like to reintroduce Gordon Hiddell, who is from our Office of Inspection, and who will present the award for academic achievement. Gordon.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks, Mark. Really appreciated those words. Good morning. I want to very briefly say that it has taken a tremendous amount of motivation for these graduates to have accomplished the things that they have accomplished in the last few months. And talking about motivation, I'd like to just relay a very brief story. Former Redskins coach George Allen once talked about the motivation that it took Muhammad Ali to become the great fighter that he became, and he asked him what it took for him to accomplish what he did. Muhammad said that when he was a kid growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, that he ran across this beautiful used secondhand red and green bike that he said he just had to have. Well, he worked in a grocery store bagging groceries, and he finally saved enough money to buy that bike. And one day he parked it behind the store, and when he came out, the bike was gone. Someone had stolen it. He looked all over Louisville that summer. He walked and looked and looked and walked, but he never found that bike. But he said every time after that he got into the ring, he looked across at that other fighter, and he said, "Hey, that's the guy that stole my bike." Now, that kind of motivation is what each and every one of us have to do to accomplish the kinds of tasks that you're going to have to accomplish as special agents. Becoming a part of the Secret Service is a tremendous privilege, a privilege that very few ever experience. It's a privilege, however, that is fully realized only when the recipient carries out his or her responsibilities to faithfully exercise the virtues of courage, of integrity, of fairness to others, and of excellence. Today I have the privilege of presenting the award for excellence in the area of academic achievement. This award is presented to the student who attains the highest average score over 7 written knowledge examinations in the following areas: protective intelligence, counterfeiting, fraud, investigative tactics, protection, emergency medicine, control tactics, and a variety of other subjects that I haven't mentioned. The overall class average for SATC number 181 was 93.71. The runner-up with an average of 96.81 is Special Agent Trainee Christopher Clark of the St. Louis Field Office. Would you stand, Chris? You know, I don't want to take any more time than necessary here, but a footnote. When I came into the Secret Service back in 1971, I had come from a small town named Festus, Missouri, in southeast Missouri along the Mississippi River. I doubt that, I figured at that point there would never be another Secret Service agent that would come from a town called Festus, Missouri. And Chris actually grew up there and graduated there. I don't know Chris, but I congratulate you, Chris. You're certainly following in great footsteps. Thank you, Director. The winner with an average of 97.77 is Special Agent Trainee Kathy Palladino of the Tampa Field Office. SATC class number 182. The overall class average was 92.01. The runner-up with an average of 95.40 is Special Agent Trainee Ronald Hayes of the New York City Field Office. Ron? The winner with an average of 96.19 is Special Agent Trainee Darren Kraft of the Houston Field Office. Hey, Darren. Congratulations. Thank you.
Had we known you'd been in the same hometown as this guy, there'd have been grounds for dismissal. It's a good thing he just said that now. Now, the award for physical fitness will be presented by Assistant Director Danny Spriggs from our Office of Protective Operations.
Thanks, Rick, and congratulations again to the graduates here this morning. It is truly a momentous day. It is also a memorable day for myself. You see, for the last year serving as the Assistant Director for Protective Operations, whenever I've attended these graduations, they've always given me the Firearms Award to present when I really wanted to present the Physical Fitness Award. So I want to thank you, Rick and Tanya, for giving me this opportunity. And yes, Director, you were right. In looking at the accomplishments by the people we're getting ready to recognize, I can't compete with this group. And there was a time when I thought I could, but the accomplishments that these folks here have accomplished have greatly risen the bar in that regard. I would like to share a story with you, if I could, if you'd indulge me, and that has to do a little bit with physical fitness and your commitment and your discipline in order to accomplish what you've accomplished over these past few weeks. You just met Assistant Director Gordon Haddell. Well, before he became a headquarters leader, he was the leader of the Vice Presidential Detail, in which I had the opportunity and pleasure to serve with. During that tenure, Vice President Gore, rain, snow, cold, wet, whatever the case might be, would run every morning anywhere from 4 to 5 miles a day. Gordy and I would show up for work every day about 5 o'clock in preparation for that. But there were many days that we didn't want to run. We didn't feel like running. And as fate would have it, sure enough, the Vice President would come out about 6 o'clock and start his run. I say that to say this to you. Even though there will be days in which you don't want to prepare for the physical strains of this job, you need to be prepared. We were prepared, and we handled the task at hand. I challenge each and every one of you to do the same as you leave this training facility here today. Now on to the award. For SAT Class 181 Fitness Award, this award is presented to the student who attains the best overall scores in 5 categories of fitness: pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, sit and reach, and also flexibility, and a 1.5 mile run. The runner-up for this award is actually a tie this year, or for this particular class, with the scores of 13 pull-ups, 77 push-ups in 1 minute, 64 sit-ups in 1 minute, the sit and reach of 22, and a completed 1.5 mile run in the time of 8:59, outstanding, is Special Agent Trainee Ted Ford of the New York Field Office. As I mentioned, there's a tie with the tying scores of 16 pull-ups, 68 push-ups in 1 minute, 50 sit-ups in 1 minute, sit and reach of 25, and a completed 1.5 mile run of 9.06 is Special Agent Trainee Christopher Clark of the St. Louis Field Office. And the winner for this award, with 16 pull-ups, 78 push-ups in 1 minute, 66 sit-ups in 1 minute, a sit and reach of 21.50, and a completed 1.5 mile run of 10.04, the winner is Special Agent Trainee Jason House of the Los Angeles Field Office. Congratulations. Nice job. For Class 182, same categories. The runner-up with a score of 22 pull-ups, 90 push-ups in 1 minute, 71 sit-ups in 1 minute, and a sit and reach of 21, a 1.5 mile run of 9.44 minutes, is Special Agent Trainee Jason Streeter of the Wilmington Resident Office. And the winner for this award, with a score of 23 pull-ups, 82 push-ups in 1 minute, 62 sit-ups in 1 minute, a sit and reach of 23.25, a 1.5 mile run of 9.37, is Special Agent Trainee Paul Thomas of the Los Angeles Field Office. Congratulations. Nice job. Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, the award for firearms training will be presented by Assistant Director Larry Cockle from our Office of Training.
Good morning. I now know how I got the firearms award. Danny outranks me. I'd like to say a few words after listening to Mark, because I think he hit some things that are important to all of us. And I just want to share something with the families here this morning, that today, the families and friends, that your loved ones today become members of one of the proudest and most prestigious law enforcement agencies in the world. When they receive their badge and commission book, they join the ranks of the folks you see up here as special agents. What's most important about that is not what the badge is or looks like or the commission book feels like, but there is a rich tradition and reputation that this agency carries with it that we now share with our future colleagues. And we expect that they live up to the rich tradition and the rich history of the Secret Service. And when you leave here today, I want to encourage you, as Mark said, don't ever do anything your mother would be embarrassed over. And also remember that the reputation you have and that commission book and badge represents over 135 years of history and tradition and proud special agents who carried it. So congratulations to you today. I get the firearms award, and again, I now know how this selection was made, Rick, so we'll talk about it later. But this award is presented to the student with the highest average score over 9 courses of fire using the Sig Sauer semi-automatic .357 pistol, the shotgun, and the MP5 submachine gun. The highest possible score in firearms is a 300, so a score that is above 270 represents a 90% effective rate in the use of those tools. I'd like to call them tools instead of weapons. For Class 181, in the area of marksmanship, the runner-up with an average of 286.88 points is Special Agent Harry May of the Los Angeles Field Office. Please stand, Harry. Congratulations. The winner with an average of 287.5 points is Special Agent Kevin Taylor of the Los Angeles Field Office. Congratulations. Congratulations. For Class 182, also over the 9 courses of fire, the class average was 268.18 points. The runner-up in this category with an average of 285.13 is Special Agent John Lewis of the New York Field Office. Please stand. Congratulations. The winner for Class 182 with an average of 286.13 points is Special Agent David Bashaw of the New York Field Office. Please come up. Congratulations. Thank you and good luck to you all.
I don't know, Danny, Larry's making a strong run for that fitness award.
I wonder why. I won't race him.
He's my direct boss. I'm going to have to give it to him. Actually, my firearms instructors would kill me if they even heard me talking about that fitness overrides firearms, so I got to keep quiet. I'm also told right now that our guest speaker has to board the FBI plane and head back to North Carolina for this trial. Again, we want to publicly thank him for making the effort to get up here, and we appreciate his words. Each class elects a president who serves as its representative to the training staff. The president of class number 181 is Constance Accooney, and the president of class number 182 is James Cook. I would now like to request that James Cook come forward and give remarks on behalf of both classes. Subsequent to his remarks, Constance Accooney will join for class presentation. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Elias. Mr. Stafford, Mr. Foley, Mr. Calloway, Mr. Cockle, Mr. Spriggs, special guests, staff, family, and friends. 22 weeks ago, 44 individuals left their homes, their parents, husbands, wives, and children to pursue a dream of becoming one of only 2,250 special agents with the United States Secret Service. Today, we each take the next step toward fulfilling the mission we have sworn to uphold. Throughout this training complex, 5 words greet us as we enter through each door. The same 5 words look down on us from classroom walls, and today, the words worthy of trust and confidence look down, overlook this new agent graduation. The enormity of the meaning these words hold has grown clear in our time here. We've learned our mission can't be fulfilled without trusting our fellow agents and having confidence in each other's ability and commitment to our shared mission. We have also learned to trust in ourselves, to have confidence in our skills and abilities, and to face our weaknesses as challenges yet to be conquered. Now, we look forward to earning the trust and confidence of those who have come before us, and of all of you, who we are proudly committed to serving. On behalf of Class 181 and 182, I would like to thank all of the training staff contributing to our success and the ability for us to be here today. We appreciate your patience, your encouragement, your professionalism, and your commitment to us as a class, and for recognizing the needs of 44 different individuals as well. We particularly would like to thank our class representatives for their efforts in assuring our success. Class 181 wishes to thank Mr. Horton and Mr. Rivera for their generosity, their guidance, their enthusiasm and encouragement throughout the Special Agent Training course. In the memorable years to come, our successes will be shared with both Mr. Horton and Mr. Rivera, as they have left an indelible mark on our Secret Service lives. Class 182 wishes to thank Mr. Sykes and Mr. Ward for your guidance and support throughout our training. We appreciate your wisdom you have imparted upon us, and for giving us the free of charge information we're sure someday will serve us as well. You have taught us well, and it is our hope we have earned your trust and confidence. Excuse me. And finally, and most importantly, we wish to thank our families. We thank you for your courage, your strength, your perseverance, and your unconditional love, for understanding and supporting our need to serve, and for always being there for us, even when we can't be there for you. For all these things, we thank you. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce President Constance Acuna of Class 181 for a presentation.
In gratitude, our gift to the James J. Rowley Training Center are Confederate notes. They were printed in 1864 by the Confederate States of America in Richmond, Virginia. They represent a tumultuous time in our nation's history. The American Civil War was at its height. The South was flooding the North with counterfeit in an effort to subvert the United States economy. To combat this, the United States Secret Service was created. On behalf of Special Agent Training Course 181, 182, we'd like to present this gift to Assistant Director Cockle with sincere appreciation.
I'd like to introduce now Brian Stafford, the Director of the Secret Service, who will address those in attendance and administer the oath of office. Mr. Stafford.
Thanks, Rick.
Good morning. I'd first like to say I'm a bit troubled. Rick has been changing things around out here quite a bit, including where we sit. And I normally sit beside Assistant Director Danny Spriggs, and as they read out these accomplishments, Danny and I usually sit there and boast about how we could exceed those numbers. And I'm troubled that Danny has admitted this morning publicly that he can't compete anymore. I'm not going to admit that yet, but I've also been known to wear a T-shirt around that says, the older I get, the better I was, which that my children happen to give to me. I'd like to thank Mark also, even though he had to leave, for sharing his perspective on the law and law enforcement with us. He mentioned something else that was kind of interesting to me about when he comes home, he knows who's in charge, and it kind of reminded me of I'd just been director actually for a few weeks, and I came home and my wife and daughter asked me how things were going, and I said, I think things are going pretty well, but I can't get used to people that have called me by my first name for 20 years now calling me the director. I said, but I don't mind the two of you calling me director when I come home. And anyway, that didn't go over real well, and they sometimes do that now, but it's followed by something thrown in the air. So it's important to remember who you are when you go home. Whenever I listen to these award presentations, I feel a growing confidence in the future of the Secret Service. Fitness, shooting, and academic excellence are just three of many things that set a Secret Service agent apart from all other law enforcement. So continue to improve your fitness levels, your shooting skills, and continue to learn. They're very important components of being a good Secret Service agent. Today, we're swearing in Felix Marrero, and I had the opportunity to meet Felix earlier and to speak to him as a member of Class 181. Felix is the son of a former agent and a contemporary of mine, Manny Marrero. Manny, in 1986, was conducting a counterfeit currency investigation at the DuPont Plaza in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And while he was there was a fire that broke out, and Manny and a number of others died in that fire. So Felix, it's truly a tribute that you've chosen to follow in your father's footsteps, and we're very glad to have you here. I also understand in Class 182, Dave Bashaw, who's going to go to our New York office, became a father. That's a very special thing. I've also experienced that. We congratulate you for the birth of your son, David Keith Jr. I want to congratulate everybody in this room, whether you're a special agent about to be commissioned as a special agent, or a family and friend about to witness this ceremony. I know that it's a very important day. We in the Secret Service are a team of professionals. We train together, travel together, and work together with more frequency than any other law enforcement agency in the world. We also enjoy a culture that is truly unique to the Secret Service. And as your careers evolve, your families and friends will also become well acquainted with our culture. You'll share dreams, accomplishments, and perhaps some disappointments. But I can assure you, the good days will far outnumber the bad, and your families will share the pride and successes of your work. Not one of us can say that we got to our current station in life alone. Somewhere along the line, and normally it's family, helps you. I know that without the support and the encouragement of my family, that I would not be standing here as the 20th Director of the Secret Service. Throughout the past several weeks, you've developed a camaraderie within your class. I hope that you'll take that camaraderie, that sense of team and mission, wherever you go in your careers in the Secret Service. Mission gives purpose to life, and in its purest form, it's so deeply felt, it explains why we do what we do. I've spent much of the time I've been director in conversations with special agents in charge around this country, and my message is very clear. The field office personnel represent the best of our organization. When you return to your offices to begin your work, remember, the American public sees the Secret Service as you represent it, and I have no doubt that you all will represent us extremely well in our dual roles. In 1902, our first protectee, President Theodore Roosevelt, upon learning of the death of Special Agent William Craig, the first Secret Service agent to die in the line of duty while protecting a president, said, "He was faithful and he was ready. Like Agent Craig, each of us must always be faithful and ready to defend our mission, our oath, and our country. In a few minutes, I'll present you with your badge and commission book. This is not a right granted to everyone. It's a privilege reserved for a select few and calls for a high level of personal sacrifice and integrity. I have the distinct honor of placing my signature on your commission book and authorizing you to bear firearms, make arrests for offenses committed against the laws of the United States, and most important, commending you to the entire world as worthy of trust and confidence. Always remember, the American people expect this, and those we protect deserve it. The Secret Service has no equal in the world of physical protection and financial crimes investigations. Continue to learn our ways, then develop even better ones, and take us to higher levels of excellence. I've been very privileged and proud to be a part of this organization for over 28 years. I respect our distinguished past and have high expectations for you, our future. You have selected, as I told you earlier, a wonderful career. Be passionate about your work and know that it matters. Few things will be more fun or more rewarding. I'll now administer the oath of office to classes 181 and 182. Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your names.
I, James Brown,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Special Agent Constance S. Acuni, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent James J. Brenneman, New York Field Office. Special Agent Martin S. Bromley, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent Jason S. Chapman, Boston Field Office. Special Agent Christopher W. Clark, St. Louis Field Office. Special Agent Donald V. Davis, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent T. Aaron Ford, New York Field Office. Special Agent Gabriel R. Gunnerart, New York Field Office. Special Agent James K. Harris, Cleveland Field Office. Special Agent Jason R. House, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent John R. Kirby, Memphis Field Office. Special Agent Timothy P. Malatesta, San Jose Resident Office. Special Agent Felix A. Marrero, Miami Field Office. Presenting Felix's commission book will be his mother, Gladys Marrero, in memory of his father, Special Agent Manuel Marrero, who was killed in the line of duty. Special Agent Harry D. May II, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent T. Charles Mayfield, Detroit Field Office. Special Agent Adolfo Morales, Jr., Miami Field Office. Special Agent Thomas B. Pagler, San Francisco Field Office. Special Agent Kathy L. Palladino, Tampa Field Office. Special Agent Michael G. Rattay, Boston Field Office. Special Agent Edward H. Sebring II, Charleston, West Virginia, Resident Office. Special Agent Matthew A. Smith, Boston Field Office. And last but not least, Special Agent Kevin B. Taylor, Los Angeles Field Office.
You know what, Larry? I can't see the guy. He's going to give me a sign he's changing film.
Okay.
I can see him from over here. Special Agent David K. Bashaw, New York Field Office. Special Agent Ian C. Blair, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent Edward N. Bradstreet, Boston Field Office. Special Agent James H. Cook III, New York Field Office. Special Agent Darren N. Kraft, Houston Field Office. Special Agent Michael P. Dawson, New York Field Office. Special Agent Jeffrey A. Degner, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent Robert F. Dombrowski, Miami Field Office. Special Agent Manny Fernandez, Orlando Field Office. Special Agent R. Matthew Hayes, New York Field Office. Special Agent Bradley S. Jacobs, Spokane Resident Agency. Special Agent Scott Lewis, New York Field Office. Special Agent Peter W. Manning, Boston Field Office. Special Agent Carrie L. Meade, New York Field Office. Special Agent Jamie J. Metalk, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent Daniel C. Pivoto, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent Chad V. Rumney, New York Field Office. Special Agent David M. Stewart, New York Field Office. Special Agent Jason C. Streeter, Wilmington, Delaware Resident Office. Special Agent Melissa M. Temenek, New York Field Office. Special Agent Paul D. Thomas, Los Angeles Field Office. Special Agent Paul A. Wade, Pittsburgh Field Office. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Special Agents of Class 181 and 182.
Sir, I got to be frank. I split you and Assistant Director Spriggs because other platform guests heard you bragging about beating these scores, and they started rolling their eyes and nudging each other, and it got real. So I had to split this up. Actually, I got to say this, both of them probably could match these scores, so I have to say that in order to bail myself out from what I just said. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our graduation ceremony. We're going